Another day, another dollar. Thank the Lord for another 24. God, I knew that was you. Sunday grind. Just pulling back up to the crib from the gym. Got a Sunday leg workout in today, man. We train legs on Sundays. You feel me? I'm finna make some breakfast here in a second, man. I've been fasting all day. It's damn near 4 o'clock in the evening. I haven't had one meal all day, so I'm about to break the fast. Quick correctional officer training video, though, man. If you've been enjoying my videos talking about corrections, you know, the job aspects, the hiring process, going through the salary for correctional officers, man, keep tuning in. I appreciate the support, the engagement. You know, this video right here, I'm going to speak to the younger generation. You know, the people that may be in high school, about to turn 18. You interested in working as a correctional officer. You in college. You about to graduate with your degree. You don't know what you want to do with your degree or something. Or maybe you were like me. You study criminal justice and you want to get a job in your field. You know, I'm going to talk about, you know, your first real job. When you work in corrections, you know, it's not like a typical job, you know, at any age. But when you're young, like 18, 21, you know, you have to realize the type of environment that you are in. You know, you're dealing with people that may be in there for violent crimes. They may have life sentences. They're not coming home, you know, so you cannot go into this field, you know, working as a correctional officer. You can't go into these prisons, these jails, and you treating it like it's a playground or it's high school. You at the fraternity house at your college campus. No, these are grown men. You got some people in there that are convicted killers. You got people in there that have been convicted of killing other inmates. Some in there for killing COs, correctional officers. You got some that have killed police officers on the street. So you have to go into it with a serious mindset. And to my people that's been working corrections, you know, I've been working corrections for 13 years now. I'll be 35 in December, you know. To my people that's been working it, you know, you may have more time in than me. You got 15, 20 years in, 25, 30 years in, you on your way out the door. This is the thing that we have to realize. The nature of the job, right, is that the generation of people that are coming in to be new correctional officers are getting younger and younger. You know, when I started working corrections, I was 21. I hadn't even finished college yet. You know, I was in my last 2 semesters of college, and I had went to one of my professors, right? And I was trying to pick his mind, you know, to come up with some possible career opportunities in my field. I studied criminal justice. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So he told me he used to be a CO back in the day before he became a college professor. And he was like, why don't you try working that? Try that out, see how you like it. So I applied. I got hired on, you know. And by the time I graduated with my degree in criminal justice, I had been working on the job like 9 months. You know, I was on night shift most of the time, and I would go during the daytime. I would go on campus and finish up with my classes. I had moved off campus by this time. I was like I said, in my last year of college, you know. So it's our job to help guide these youngsters along, you know, prepare them for the type of environment they in, you know. It's not a game. You know, speaking to my youngsters specifically, you know, I don't want to call y'all youngsters. Y'all adults now. If you 18 and up, you's a grown man. You's a grown woman. You're an adult now, you know. So if you're going to come into this environment, come in and work as a correctional officer, you have to treat it as such, man. You have to treat it like it's business. You're not in high school anymore. This is not 5th period science class where you in there goofing off, blowing spitballs at the teacher. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. You in college doing pranks, or you on the yard on campus, man, the frat bros or the fraternity, the football team out there goofing around, pep rallies. No, this is real life. These are real people you're dealing with that are in there. Man, I've seen so many people, right? High profile inmates from around the world at the 3 different prisons I've worked at. Man, I've seen mafia hitmen. You know, my last prison I was at in West Virginia, there was a hitman in there for John Gotti. I'm sure a lot of y'all have heard of John Gotti. He was a mafia boss. You probably heard people mention him in songs, rap songs, you know. There was a hitman in there. He was in there, I think they said he had like 20 murders or something. He killed like 20 people, you know. The prison I'm at now, you got people that are bosses over the Mexican drug cartels. You have international terrorists. You have big time dudes that are in there, for leading criminal organizations, selling thousands of kilograms of cocaine, crack, and worldwide. You have convicted killers, rapists, high profile people, man, and they will not hesitate to put that knife in you as soon as you turn your back or you think it's a game, man. You think you go in there thinking it's a game, thinking you could talk to them any kind of way. You might have been in high school, mouthing off at the teacher. I've seen officers firsthand get hands put on them and get put to sleep on the unit, all because of this. They was running their mouth, man. We had an officer when I worked at the county jail, man. He had a bad habit of trying to exert his authority over the inmates. As a correctional officer, we're not responsible, for sentencing the inmates and sending them to prison. That's the judge's responsibility. We're just there to maintain the safe, secure, orderly running of that institution. Make sure the inmates are not trying to escape. Make sure they're not in there stabbing, fighting each other, trying to harm each other, killing each other. Make sure they're not smoking dope, getting high on drugs, K2, intoxicants, homemade alcohol. Make sure they're not trying to harm themselves, commit suicide. That's the only reason we are there now. We're not there, to try to be the gatekeepers. I'm the CEO, you're the inmate. I'm the boss, you my slave. No, it doesn't work like that, man. We had a dude, like I said, at my last county jail, he had a bad habit of trying to overexert his authority over the inmates. He used to walk around and do shit like, I remember one time, we was on the unit, I'm working with him. We on the unit doing something. I think we might have been passing out trays to the inmates. And he had some words with an inmate, and then he pointed to the emblem, the little badge on our shirt, right? And he said to the inmate, he was like, you see this badge right here? This badge means something, And I'm thinking the whole time in my head, like, bruh, this badge don't mean shit. It's not like we in here with two guns, carrying guns, and we don't have nothing. When you work inside of a prison, the only thing you really carry is your walkie-talkie, handcuffs, you may get OC pepper spray, you may get a baton, a taser. That's it. And you have to think, right? At all times in a prison, when you're working in these different units, these housing units with the inmates, at all times you're outnumbered by the inmates at all times, For instance, the unit I work at the prison I'm at right now, the last time I worked, there were 114 inmates on my roster, and it's just one officer, just me. I work with somebody else. He works the upstairs unit. His unit has 117 inmates, and it's just him. So you got to think, it's 2 officers versus 200 plus inmates. They allow us to come in there and work. Don't get it twisted now. They allow us to go in there safely every day, work, and come home safely. If they want to, they can overpower us at any given moment. All it takes is 5 or 10 inmates, man. I don't care how tough you think you are. I don't care how much weights you can lift. I don't care how much kung fu, karate, MMA fighting shit that on the street or what your background is. If the inmates, anytime they want to get you, they can get you, man. So going into it, it's all about respect. You have to give respect to get respect. When I'm in there dealing with the inmates, I'm not in there cussing them out. I'm not in there talking down on them, talking to them any kind of way. I tell them, inmate such and such, can you do this for me, please? Thank you. If I get into it with a verbal altercation with an inmate, we have some words. I do my best to try to talk it down. You have to realize in corrections, the number one thing that'll save you in a lot of bad situations, if you have great communication skills when it comes to talking to the inmates. There's been so many instances in my 13 career working. I've worked at, like I said, 1 county jail, 2 different federal prisons, where I've been in some bad situations. Shit could have potentially escalated to where I had to use physical force, this and that. I've been able to talk the situation back down. It's not about being tough. You have to think. You have to be able to use your verbal communication skills, man, to get the inmates to do what you want, Like I said, I've been in so many situations, and I'm like, I try to talk them down to the best of my ability and use de-escalation skills. The goal is when you're working in corrections, you want to use physical violence or having, to whip out your OC, restrain an inmate, take them down, this and that. That's your last resort. That's what you want to use as your last resort. The reason I say that, you have to put hands on the inmate. Let's say he's stronger than you, man, or he just going to buck on you. He's not going. He ain't going without a fight, man. He get on top of you. You doing everything you can to get him off of you. It's just you now. Remember, like I say, most situations, it's just you. So you got this inmate on top of you, man. He might be 6'8", 300 pounds. There's some big inmates in there, man. I go to work and I look at some of these dudes. I'm like, God damn, you should, instead of committing crime, you should be in the NFL right now. You should be playing in the NBA. And they work out every day. I work out every day. They work out every day, And let's just be realistic now. Most correctional officers, man, are not in the best shape they need to be in. I'm just gonna keep it 100 with y'all and be realistic with y'all. I've seen times where officers are running, responding to an emergency. By the time they get there, they got their hands on their knees. They're no good. When you run into a situation, emergency, staff assault, inmate fight, you may have to run a long distance. You have to think a prison is pretty big. You may be way at the front of the prison and the rec yard is way in the back. You got multiple inmates fighting, with homemade weapons. They got knives, shanks out, stabbing each other. You may have to run the length of a football field or 2 football fields before you get there. And you have to think. You have to still be able to perform. You have to be able to restrain an inmate, put them in handcuffs, save your co-worker's life if they getting assaulted, after running all of that long distance. So that's why it's important to be in shape, and to work on your physical fitness if you're going to come into this job, but you have to take it serious from day one. I've always been a mature type person, I was like wise beyond my time, when I came into the job, 21, I didn't go in there playing games. You can't go in there and play games with these inmates, man. You go in there, you a rookie in your probation year, you on the unit playing slap ass with the inmates, high-fiving the inmates and shit, and their horse playing, wrestling with the inmates. That's not a good look, man. It's not good at all, man. You got to think. An inmate in there, most inmates, they're trying to manipulate you. They're trying to see how you operate, see every little inch they could push, to try to possibly compromise you or get over on you. You have to take it serious. You have to use the training that they're going to teach you once you go through the academy. You come back on the job training. Like I said, the most important skills working as a correctional officer is always to try to have the best communication, verbal skills. It's all about getting the inmates what you want them to do, without having to physically, restrain them or put hands on them. Like I said, you're always going to be outnumbered in the prison, man, at all times. Even if you got your whole staff, that may be working for this particular shift, at all times, we're still all outnumbered. Let's say, for instance, day shift, during the week, you may have, 250 staff members, correctional officers. You got your counselors, secretaries, case managers, everybody that's a staff member at that prison that's working. You got 250, right? But you gonna have probably 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, 2,500 of inmates, depending on how big the prison is. You're always outnumbered, So you have to think safety first when you in there, Always think security and safety, man. You got to be thinking how an inmate thinks, man. You got to constantly be looking over your shoulder, stay alert, because you never know when the shit's going to pop off. That's the thing about corrections. I've been at all security levels, from camps all the way to high security penitentiary. You never know when the shit's going to pop off. And it could pop off at any prison, any jail nationwide. I don't care what security level it is. There's always something going on. So you have to constantly be alert. You should be thinking, constantly checking doors, making sure locks are put on securely, making sure the inmates are not trying to escape. When you're doing your rounds, you got to be vigilant. Now you got to be looking, making sure inmates ain't falling out, OD, doing drugs. I've seen so much shit just doing around on the unit. You walking and shit, and you got an inmate just slumped over on the bed. You look, it don't look right. You tap him, he ain't moving. I had that happen 2 times in the last 6 months, man. Inmates in their high, smoking K2, smoking drugs. They done goddamn passed out on the bed. One of them, he had throw up everywhere, man. So I had to get on the radio, call for some assistance, and we had to get them up out of there, man. That's a problem in prisons these days, man. Drugs is always going to be in prisons, homemade alcohol, contraband, shit like that. You can't catch everything, but we starting to see and correct. It's like becoming more and more of a problem. It's like almost every day you got people on the radio, officer in a unit, compound, can you step over to my unit? I got an inmate that appears to be intoxicated on drugs. Man, when I'm working during the daytime, I'm seeing it like every day, So what you got to do, you got to call for assistance. Don't deal with no inmate one-on-one that's out of control, unruly, that's becoming hostile. Always think now, safety and security. Call for some assistance, man, before you try to be Rambo. It's not about being a cowboy, proving your manhood, trying to see how tough you are. I've seen shit like that, man, where old school COs back in the day, they have some words with an inmate, and they like, well, shit, this shit ain't nothing. I'll take off my duty belt, and we can go in the cell right now, one-on-one. The CO saying this, right? Telling the inmate, we can go in the cell and scrap it out, duke it out. No, save that for another place, another time. This is not the place for it. It's not the place for it, man. What you're going to do is you're potentially putting your coworkers in danger, because you got to think now, you get into it. Let's just say, even if you wasn't doing that, you wasn't trying to be a cowboy. Let's say you get into an altercation with the inmate, you get on your walkie-talkie, hit your alarm button, everybody comes running. You got to think. Somebody may be running and they could slip, a coworker could slip and they can get injured. I seen that happen too. I seen, we was responding one day to a fight on a unit, and one of my coworkers, we running up the hallway, it happened to be wet somewhere. He slipped and tore his ACL. He was out of work for like 3 or 4 months, So you have to think like that, man. If you're going to try to be the cowboy, try to prove how tough you are, this is not the place for you. It's not the job for you. Go join WWF, Royal Rumble and shit if you want to wrestle people and prove how tough you are. At the end of the day, it's all about your safety and your coworkers' safety, You can't go into this shit thinking it's a game. It's not a game. This correction shit is not playtime, man. Playtime is over, You an adult. Like I said, you was an adult. You 18, 19, 20 years old, 21. You're an adult. You have your own responsibilities. You have your own bills. It's time to grow up. You can't go into this shit, man, half-stepping it, man, thinking this the goddamn, it's summertime, you on the block hanging out with the boys, man. These are convicted. These the real deal. Depending on what prison you go to, you're going to see a lot more action than other institutions. You got to think. If you get hired on and you get hired at a high security penitentiary or a high security, let's say like a high security prison in California, San Quentin, Pelican Bay, you going through the feds, you get hired on somewhere like USP Big Sandy, USP Hazleton, USP Beaumont, shit like that, USP Atwater. These are high security penitentiaries where a lot of the inmates in there most of them have like 25 years and up on their sentence. You got a lot of lifers, people that's doing life, they're never coming home. You have a lot of gang activity. You have a lot of violence, man, and you don't know when that shit's gonna pop off, man. You can come to work, you could be 10 minutes into your shift. I'm talking literally 10, 15 minutes into your shift. You just got on the unit. All of a sudden, man, you see an inmate just got that knife, he got that banger, putting it in another inmate, stabbing him up in the neck, stabbing him up, bow, hitting that shit. You don't know when it's going to pop off, man. So you got to always be on alert. Always. Once I get in there, it's like I'm always conscious. Don't never get lackadaisical working in corrections. It's easy to get lackadaisical and to forget the basics, and to forget the training that you've had in corrections when you go through the academy. And the reason I say that is because the nature of the job, you have a lot of downtime. So for instance, you do your round on the unit, right? And 9 times out of 10, all you have to do is go sit back down until it's time to do your next round. So most of us, we go sit in the office. You don't have to do your round for like another hour or so. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of downtime. You know what they say. Idle time is the devil's playground. That's why, too, this is another thing, man, I want to stress to my youngsters, that's coming into corrections. Don't get caught up in the workplace drama, the gossip, the rumor mills, the bullshit from your coworker, because it's a lot of that goes on in correction. And a lot of that stems from a lot of us having a lot of downtime. Say, for instance, you at a lower security prison where not a lot happens, you typically see a lot more workplace drama amongst the co-workers. It just be petty, dumb shit, man, that if you coming into it with a mature mindset, you'll look at it and you'll be like, wow, these are grown adults. You look at some of your co-workers, you got people, as a 20, let's say you coming in 18 years old, some of your co-workers may be 40, 50, 60 years old, acting like little ass kids. You like, wow. This is shit I dealt with in goddamn middle school. Man, we didn't act like this when we was in middle school. It'd be petty. I've seen some of the pettiest, dumb shit, man, and it's going to distract you from doing what you're there to do. You're there at the end of the day to do your job and to do your job at the best of your ability. Your number one priority, like I said, making sure you come in safe and making sure you leave safe, making sure your coworkers do the same, making sure the inmates are not trying to escape. Making sure that the facility is running safely and secure. For it to run safe and secure, the inmates can't be in there fighting each other, stabbing, trying to kill each other, high off of drugs, shit like that, trying to harm themselves, committing suicide. That's all I do when I'm at work. I just try to do my job to the best of my ability. I try to dodge and duck the bullshit, the side shit that's not relevant to the job. And I just go home. I leave work at work. I don't take the shit home with me. The prison's not going to burn down if I'm not out here in the free world thinking about the prison. It's going to be there when I get back. You have to learn, too, how to cut this shit off, because if you take work home constantly with you, there's going to be times when you have a bad day. You may get into a verbal altercation with an inmate. You may have to fight an inmate. You could be working the lockdown unit and you not paying attention and you pop the food slot in the lockdown unit and the mental health inmate not in his right mind. He got a cup full of piss and he throws it on you. That's a bad day. You have to learn how to leave that shit there. If you take it home to your personal life, now you home, you still thinking about work, what happened, the negativity and shit. You home cussing out the wife. You done goddamn kicked the dog. The dog come up to you, wagging his tail. You usually pet him, but you pissed off from work. You done goddamn kick the shit out of the dog. You cussing at the kids. You go in the fridge and get you a 12-pack of beer. Go up in the room and lock your door. That's not a good look, man. It's not conducive to, the long run of your career. Being able to have longevity in this career. If you doing shit like that, you have to learn how to cut it off. Cut it on, man. You're going to have bad days. Every day's not a good day, but a lot of the days are good days. There's a lot of times, most days when I go in there and I do my shift, I'm working on the unit with the inmates and nothing happens. Most of the time, that's how it is. It's like a routine day. That's the thing about corrections. It's pretty routine, day to day. It's like a lot of structure. The inmates have to be everywhere at a certain time by a certain time. You do things at the same time every day. For instance, you have to count the inmates, make sure nobody's escaped at certain times every day, 7 days a week, 365. This is how everything goes. They go eat at a certain time. They have to be in their cells by a certain time for the night shift. Everything runs on a smooth operation. You just have like those little instances where shit gets out of hand or you have to deviate from the normal running of the institution. Shit like a riot go down, a natural disaster. You work at a prison in Miami, a fucking hurricane blow through, man. Now you got to evacuate all the inmates. A major disturbance on the rec yard. You got 50 inmates out there. You got the Mexicans fighting the blacks on the rec yard, man. It's a race riot. It's going down. They out there, they done whooped out samurai swords and shit. You like, where the hell do they get all these goddamn knives from? Big knives, look like a damn samurai sword. Whack your head off. You got shit like that, man. It goes down anytime, any place, anywhere. It doesn't matter what time. They don't care that you just got on shift. They don't care that you're about to go home. I've been times, man, 20 minutes into the shift, some shit go down, man. Right when I'm about to go home, some shit go down. You know, you have to spring into action and you have to remember your training and you got to deal with it, man. You know, the good far outweighs the bad when it comes to correction now, you know. It far outweighs the bad. You know, like I said, I've been doing it 13 years. It's been good to me. You know, it has its moments. I've dealt with a lot of bullshit, a lot of dumb shit from the inmates and from co-workers, you know. But you gotta push through that shit and keep it moving, man. You know, that's like anything in life. You're gonna deal with trials, tribulations, adversity and shit. You just keep moving, keep pushing, man. You deal with the shit, you put it behind you, and you just keep moving, man. It's a new day, baby. Y'all like this video? Make sure you subscribe to my channel at The Ghetto Bodybuilder. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok at The Ghetto Bodybuilder. I got the gym merch, the merchandise for sale. Shop with me on my website. In the gym we trust, man. I got a whole lot of different hoodies and t-shirts with a whole lot of catchy quotes, captions on there, man. So check out my website, cop you some merchandise, man. But yeah, message to my young people, man. And I'm gonna close this up, man. Go into the job from day one with a serious mindset, a serious attitude, you know, be optimistic, be positive, be willing to learn, be willing to let the people that's been there already coach you and, you know, give you the proper knowledge and on the job experience that you need so you could be a successful correctional officer. Don't be like a lot of knuckleheads out here that's young, high school. You can't tell them shit. They think they know everything, man. That's the worst attitude to have coming into this correctional shit, man. Working as a correctional officer, you know, wherever you're going to work at. Y'all got any suggestions for future videos y'all want me to do? Comments, questions, concern about anything related to the job, any aspect, drop a comment. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Y'all know how we coming. Let's get motivated.